My interview. Oh,
Are you suitably refreshed?
Yeah,
Matt.
Yeah.
Much better, thanks.
Did anyone actually have a custard cream or not?
No.
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 I entered the competition to win 90 grand though.
Okay, that's good. You're breaking up a bit there. Custard cream, king of the biscuits. Agree?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Oh, Matt, by the way, my interview got postponed to Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not sure whether that's good or bad or.
Apparently the lady had an emergency or something, so she had to
selfish.
so she had to cancel the whole day and tomorrow as well. So back Tuesday, yeah.
No problem at all.
Oh well, we here.
More time to stress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What did you do on your break?
I was washing my wig.
Really?
I was washing mine as well.
Oh, good.
Seriously?
What did you do? Yeah, no, seriously, yeah, I was.
I entered the this morning competition to win 90 grand.
Oh, did you win?
Well, I don't know yet. It's a competition on the, the TV show this morning.
Oh,
To
yeah.
win 90 grand. Yeah, I don't know. It's another month, I think, till they actually draw
Well,
it.
good luck. So
Thank
where
you.
are we going? Where are we going?
Well, that's it. We're all the whole group. We're all going away somewhere exotic.
Oh, nice.
On the beach. We're training on the beach. Yeah.
Okay, welcome back. We've only lost 3 people, which is not bad. Yeah, normally I
We've
lose
lost 3. Wow.
at least half. So, okay, what I've got is I've tried to do the register while you've been away, and I'm missing some people. Yeah, and I know this is really annoying, but can I just ask you all to just, again, in the chat button, just put your full name?
Yeah.
It sounds like a simple thing for me to be able to do, but it's obviously not that simple because I've messed it up.
Okay.
Where's the chat button? Chat.
No, stop it. Oh.
Thank you.
Matt, do we need your permission? Do we need your permission to record on our end on Zoom? Because it keeps saying I press record. It says ask the host for permission.
Yeah. So I'm gonna record it and then I'll share it on Google Classroom.
Okay.
Don't worry, I will not make any of you internet sensations.
Right.
Make money if you do that.
Karine.
Yeah.
I can see I'm gonna have to put you on the naughty step in a minute.
I'm sorry.
Go away.
I'll have to come and see head teacher. It's not good. Okay.
Is that sorry, Matt? Is that only accessible to on Google Classroom?
On Google Classroom, yeah. Yeah.
We can't take that and put that on our file on our own computer. That recording and hear it.
Probably there is a way to download it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure, mate. That's beyond my technical capability. Okay, let's make a start. So hopefully in the first session for 30 of you, obviously not the 4 that are missing, hopefully you've got a flavour for how we're going to run things each day. You listened to my awfully sad sob story. I'm sure many of you were crying during the break. And hopefully you've got a flavour about how it's going to work. So informal, relaxed, hopefully informative as we move along each day. What we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk about the job itself. Yeah. And I will be providing loads of information on Google Classroom as to the job, all of the different things that you'll need to know. But I just want to talk you through the job as I understand it, seeing that I've done this now many times. Yeah. And incidentally, some of your work coaches were on my courses.
Mm.
Which is good. So that means it works. Harriet, who's your work coach?
Alan in Luton.
Alan, was he on one of my courses? Maybe, don't know.
Maybe, but
Hey.
I'm not 100%, but hopefully because he has been very helpful. So maybe indeed he was. And maybe that's
Yeah,
why.
he's been
There you
so
go.
helpful.
I knew we'd get there.
Definitely one of mine, Harriet. Well done. I like that. So let me just explain about this program and kind of how I got involved in it just to start off. So you heard my kind of whinge at the start in terms of what I thought my experience of going through the job centre and going through the process. And I do blame the system rather than the individual people, albeit that some of the individual people don't help themselves, but that's another story. So when I got offered the chance to start doing this July last year, the backdrop was we were in the middle of lockdown or the middle of the pandemic, and the job centre decided that in order to cope with the record levels of unemployment, that they needed to recruit 13,000 work coaches up and down the country. Yeah. That's a lot of work coaches. So what they did is they asked a couple of local training companies, and we look after the kind of Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire area, to look at this job process and see if we could put together something that would help people. And I guess my driver behind it is that I'm a great believer in you'll probably never change the system. Yeah, I think the system's broken. It's not political. It's just my point of view. And I think the only way in which we can change that is to put more people into the jobs who will force the change. Yeah. And changing from within is easier than changing from the outside. So that was my kind of idea. So far, we've put in about 35, 40 new work coaches in this area as a result of this course. And there's also another training company called SPS Training who have run other courses in the past, which some of you may well have been on. So that was my aim. When I looked at the DWP selection process, when it first came out, my mind was fried. Yeah, I think we've all become used to sending off a CV and a covering letter, or applying for jobs on Indeed, which is really easy with the one-click apply. More on that another time. More on that another time, because that's the worst thing you can be doing, but we'll get to that. And then when I came across the DWP process, I'm going to tell you like it is, right? It is not an easy process.
No.
Yeah, and it's right that I'm honest. Yeah, and hence why we're doing this course, because I believe that you need support to be able to do it. Yeah. This is not a case of sending over a CV, sending over a covering letter, having a wonderful meeting with someone nice for the civil service and landing the job. It doesn't work that way. Some would argue the fact that we've had to do this course 9 times and they've advertised some of these positions 7 times, that perhaps they should look at their recruitment process.
Those are systems broken, yeah.
to try and improve it, yeah, so that they don't have to keep on going out and recruiting for these jobs. But the good news for you guys is if they had a perfect recruitment process, then you wouldn't be here on this course. Whether that's good news or not, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, so it is a complicated process, and whichever way I dress it up, yeah, I have to be real about it. Yeah, and what we have to do with this process is to try and cheat.
Being taught to cheat.
You're being taught to cheat. Yeah. If you, however a complicated process is, if you understand exactly what they're looking for, then there is a way to manipulate that application process. Yeah. And maybe manipulation is a better word than cheating. Maybe even manipulation is not necessarily a positive word, but I'm sure if you look down to the deepest, darkest place in your soul, you will all admit that in one time or another, you have manipulated a situation to get what you want. The dog's agreeing.
Yeah.
The dog's manipulating situations every single day. And sometimes in life,
very sophisticated capacity to manipulate the situations for food. So.
I'll give you my paw, get a biscuit. Yeah. So unfortunately in life with these situations, especially where things are difficult, and this applies to any job you apply for, if you play it straight, yeah, and you just do exactly what people are telling you to do, I don't think you'll be successful. if you try and understand what it is exactly that they want and try and manipulate that situation, I think you stand a much better chance of being successful. So understanding the process and what they're looking for is the game with this. Yeah. So what they don't want is a CV. What they don't want is a covering letter. So you will not have to provide a CV or covering letter for this application. We will still do CVs. Well, it is in a way. Let me wait until I give you the bad news. Yeah. And we will still do CVs because they will be useful for other jobs you want to apply for. But this whole process is based upon a thing they call a behavior statement. Has anyone ever heard of behavior statements before?
No.
Okay, let me put it in a different word, because has anyone ever heard of competency-based assessments?
Behavioural competencies.
Yes.
I had an application with the police, and they based it on that.
Same principle for the police. And this process, and why it's good that you'll learn. Christine's going on a walk. Where are we going, Christine? It's going outside. Anyway, so this process, like the police, like local government and the whole of the civil service, so even if you don't end up wanting to apply for this job, once you understand what they're looking for, you can apply to all of those organizations in the same way. And it is competency-based assessment. What competency-based assessment means is that if they say to you, are you a good communicator? You can't just say, I'm a really good communicator. I've communicated really well in the past.
You're giving
the whole process, yeah, Bianca, yeah. The whole process is based on examples. Yeah. So you can't get away with saying, I am a fantastic communicator. You have to give them an example of a time in the past, yeah, where you have shown good communication skills.
Evidence-based.
Evidence-based. That's another way of putting it.
But that's a bit like what you get asked in an interview.
Completely. Yeah. And in a way, it is a really good way to do it, because rather anyone can say, I'm a good communicator. Yeah. And anyone can say that, you know, I'm really organized or I'm great working in a team. What they're really telling you to do is to prove it. And the only way we can prove it in this process is by giving them a story from our past that expressly tells them how we were a good communicator, what situation we were in, what we did, and what happened. Yeah.
And
so
the outcome.
And the outcome, yeah. Yeah. So basically what you're going to be doing for the next 3-4 days is writing a story. Yeah. It's like school, isn't it?
I work in one.
Good. You'll be a pro at this then. Yeah. So everything on this process for the application and for the interview is all about telling stories. Yeah. And what we know is when we tell stories, how many parts are there to a story if we write a story?
Beginning, middle, and end.
Everyone always gets that because it was drummed into us from early days. When we write a story, we have to write a story, the beginning, the middle, and the end. If we start with the end, it doesn't really work. I've watched films before where they start at the end. Have you seen films like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of never really see the point because I already know what's going to happen at the end. Yeah. So a story
I think
goes
the film
beginning.
8 Mile. 8 Mile, I've got it with Will Smith does that.
With
I've
Will
got it on a
Smith.
DVD. Yeah.
Okay, right. I'll take your word for it. So what we do when we make a story is we go beginning, middle, end in terms of engagement. A bit like telling a joke. Yeah. If you say the punchline first, it ain't funny. Some jokes are just not funny anyway. You will hear some dad jokes, as I said. And I like to use this opportunity to tell you some dad jokes because 1, they're not funny. 2, my children don't let me tell them anymore because they're bored of them. And 3, you've got a captive audience. You can't really go anywhere, can you? Some of you might feel obliged to laugh, but anyway, we'll come on to that. So it's all about telling stories, and that's the process. And the biggest mistake I see when people look at competency-based assessments is they don't tell stories about their past. They just talk about what they're good at, and that is not enough. Yeah. So everything is about telling a story from your past. And some of you may find it easy to conjure up things from your past, and some of you may not. And that's what I'm here for, to make sure that you understand exactly how to write a competency-based assessment that will get you through to the next stage of the application process.
How personal does it have to go?
Quite personal in a way, but it should be connected to work if possible. Yeah. So this is not about telling your life stories. This is about trying to use examples from previous jobs to make sure that you are selling yourself in the correct way. I'll talk more about that in a second in terms of that stage of the process. Let me talk through the overall process about how this application elements work. Yeah, and I'll go through step by step, and I'm going to show you how to do it step by step. The first element is that we will find the job on a website called Civil Service Jobs that I've shared with you. Yeah, and there are different stages to the application. The first stage of the application is that you must complete a judgment test. Have you ever heard of a judgment test before?
Yes.
No.
No.
Okay, so many of you in jobs in the past, you may well have been asked to complete a judgment test. And what a judgment test is doing is it is giving you certain scenarios and asking you to say what you would do in those scenarios.
Oh yeah, I have had-
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I have had those.
So it's a lot of companies use them for their recruitment process because they're testing what you would do in terms of customer services. And the DWP use them for two reasons. One, to make sure that you are the right fit in terms of personality. And for two, to cut the numbers down to a more manageable number. You understand what I mean by that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Because what the DWP know, if you give someone a complicated recruitment process and there is 100 people that are interested in it, if 100 people read what the process is, probably about 20 of those people won't even bother. Yeah? So it's almost like a deliberate act to put people off because they're thinking, if you can't be bothered to do the application, then you're not going to be bothered to do the job when it comes to it. Yeah, so it's a sifting process. So the judgmental test is very straightforward. This is a big claim. Only one person so far out of 300 people has failed it.
Oh.
Don't be the second. Yeah. Yeah. And they failed it. And they failed it because they did not do the simple thing which I advise people to do. And that is to read the blooming question. So many of us now are used to skim reading stuff. Yeah. Because we're so bloody important, aren't we? And we've got so many things to do. Yeah. We can't possibly read everything. And it's even the way in which we consume news now. It's not full articles, it's snippets. So the judgment test, I will provide you with an example. And tomorrow I will show you some examples and I will coach you through it to the best of my ability. Yeah. But that is the first stage, the judgment test. Yeah. The second stage of the process is the competency-based assessment. So what they are looking for is that they are using several different behaviors to judge your work against. At this first stage, the behavior that they're looking to judge you against is called communicating and influencing. Yeah. Why they've chosen communicating and influencing is because you can imagine if you are a work coach, you have to do two things with your customers. Yes, they call you customers. I know you find that hard to believe. The first thing you need to do with your customers is that you need to be able to communicate with them. Pretty straightforward. The second thing you need to be able to do, which is probably more important, is that you need to be able to influence the person to make the right decisions.
You also need to listen to what they're saying to figure out what it is they're saying without the
100%.
words. They're, you know,
100%.
I mean, that's exactly what I do in school with kids.
Yeah,
I mean,
body language is very, very important.
It's what they're not saying
100%.
what's more important than what they actually say.
Now,
Yeah,
and that you're 100% right, and that in a sense has been the biggest challenge for them over the last year, is because predominantly job centres have been closed, and most of the communication has been taken place on the Universal Credit website, which I'm sure that you've updated. So that is a big missing thing there. Yeah, and you're right. So I can't see your name because it just says Zoom user.
Oh, me?
Yeah, what's your name?
Yeah.
Janice Wells.
Oh, Janice. Yeah, so you're right with that, Janice, and that's become more of a challenge over the last 12 months. But if you look at it in the job as a work coach is about helping people. Yeah. I think the more of you we can get through to be a work coach, the better. And the reason why I believe that is because you've sat on the other side of the fence. And I think that will make you better work coaches than maybe people that have never been in that situation before. Because you understand what's involved and you understand the challenge. Yeah. Unfortunately, the system of the job centre just says to you, you should find any job. You should spend 35 hours a week job searching. You can apply for any jobs up to 90 minutes from where you live. And you should be doing that every day, in and out. And it doesn't matter whether you want the job or not. You just need to get a job. Completely, on all counts that I've just said there, completely ridiculous advice.
Yeah.
Completely.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah. But the rules won't change, but the people delivering the rules hopefully will. Yeah. And it's about understanding people and helping people. Now, if we fast forward to a situation where you're a work coach, you will generally have a caseload of about 200 people, and you will see those people for 10 minutes every 2 weeks. So if you're seeing people for 10 minutes every 2 weeks, face to face, do you think you can help them a lot?
No.
So you can't personally help them a lot. So your job, the big part of your job, is a thing called signposting, what we call signposting. You can't physically necessarily help them with stuff, but you can send them to people who can. Yeah. And that's where the influencing thing comes in. Because most people, when they're told, for instance, you need to go on a course, most people, when they're told that, their attitude is, no thanks, I know it all. Yeah. And the work coach's job is trying to influence that person to say, well, actually, you might get something out of it, and you can use different tools to be able to do that. So it's quite clear to me why the first one they're interested in is called communicating and influencing, because that's the core of the job. And what you will need to do in order to get through to interview stage is that you will need to produce a supporting statement, giving a story, an example of where you've communicated and influenced in the past. And that story can be up to 500 words.
That's the same as any application. You've got a personal statement to write out.
In the public sector, indeed. But in the different public sectors, they're looking for different things. So if you apply to...
how many words? How many words?
Up to 500. Yeah? If you take an example, if you look at the local authorities, what they will ask for is a suitability statement. A suitability statement is completely different. No problem, Sandrine. A suitability statement is completely different in many ways to what is a supporting statement. Yeah. So what you need to do is produce a statement based on communicating and influencing that is up to 500 words. It doesn't need to be exactly 500 words, but I think if you do one where it's 200, it's probably not enough.
Emma, sorry, can I just jump in briefly and ask, in that time, would you recommend we try and write a detailed example of one instance, or perhaps make a slightly more brief, or perhaps share a slightly briefer example that shows our ability to communicate and or influence different audiences or groups?
Great question. Yeah. The competency-based assessment, or the behavioural statements that we're talking about here, are all based on one event. Yeah. So not multiple events where I did this at that job, that at this job, whatever it may be. You are picking one example of how you have communicated and influenced people in the past.
And does it matter who they are as well? And I mean, I appreciate that you said already it has to be a professional example, that's fine. But
ideally.
Ideally, yeah. But I mean, have you got, so I suppose a shorter way of asking this question, most of my experience has been acquired in the private sector.
Yep.
Would you advise, where possible, I actually look at more public sector examples, or do you think private sector is fine?
Private sector is 100% fine. And the angle for these stories has two elements to it, in my opinion. Yeah. The first one is anything to do with customers. So if you maybe have worked in a shop in the past, or a bar in the past, or a nightclub, or wherever it may be where you've dealt with customers, yeah, those are the best example to use.
I was going to ask that because I ran a nightclub, and I just feel that when I say about experiences, people's eyes glaze over because they don't want to know about nightclub usually, but that's okay, yeah?
Yeah, because, and it's a really good point, because what you've got to look at with this process, that when they went out last July and looked to recruit 13,000 work coaches, the one thing they knew is that there weren't 13,000 people out there who had the experience of becoming a work coach. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there just wasn't those people in society. So what they had to do then is say, right, okay, if we can't find people, 13,000 people that have all got experience as a work coach, we have to find people with the skills called transferable skills.
Okay.
I've heard of this before. Yeah.
Loads of times that they say that all the time.
Yeah, which is a positive thing. So what they're saying is, we don't expect you to have experience of working in the civil service. What we expect you to have is experience of other jobs, shops, restaurants, bars, nightclubs, whatever it may be. And our job is to take your experience from the past and make it transferable. Yeah.
Schools and
Schools,
dealing with parents.
Dealing with parents, dealing with offices, dealing with colleagues, whatever it may be. Basically, it's when you've had a relationship with a person. So what we're looking for is sometime in the past where you've had to deal with customers is the ideal one. And the second element is much better when something's gone wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a story where something's gone wrong. And if we go back to the way in which we write a story, we say a beginning, middle, and end. The ending is much better if something has gone wrong. Because then we can look at it and say, right, something went wrong. This is what I did to solve the problem. And this is what the outcome is at the end.
So problem solution.
Say again, Bianca.
Problem solution.
100%. Yeah. So we're looking at the three.
I've got loads
of
of those examples because I was a holiday rep.
Good. I bet you had some interesting stories from there.
Oh, very. I've got lots of them of things that went wrong and things that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep. Well, I think that's another one we'll save for another time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I won't sit here and tell you them all, but I'll use them in my.
It'll feel like one of those TV programs, Club 18 to 30 reps or something.
Yeah, no, I won't. I'm not going to sit here and tell you them now, but I mean, I'll use them in my writing.
Cool. Okay, let's just, as long as we keep it clean, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, it's clean. Don't worry, it's nothing dirty.
Okay. Maybe I've watched too many of those programs.
No, I wasn't an 1830s rep. I was a families and couples rep.
Oh, okay,
so
that's
it's clean.
more.
Yeah.
Should have asked that stuff. Okay. So basically, what you've got to do is think about from your past a situation where you dealt with ideally customers, where something went wrong, can be colleagues as well, or members of staff. But the key bit is something went wrong. And what we're going to do is put together a story that is less than 500 words or around just less than 500 words that basically ticks their boxes.
Yeah.
Now, ticking their boxes is the difficult bit, because what they do, buried in all of their paperwork and all of their guidance, which you will see on the civil service website, is that they give you information on the behaviour statements, and that document is about 30 pages long. Guess what most people do when they open that document?
They can't be bothered to read it.
They can't be bothered
and
to
they
read
close
it.
it again.
Yeah. They get scared, exactly, thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? And the reality is, and I'm going to show you this tomorrow, the reality is that of those 30 pages, there's one page that's important to you. And fortunately, even though you haven't read it, I have. Yeah. And under each behavior statement, they give you what they're going to measure you against. But most people don't get that far in the reading of that document because, as we said, we can't be bothered, or it looks too complicated, or scares us off. So in that document, they are saying to you, not only are we telling you what we're going to gauge you against, but they're going to give the criteria that they're going to mark it against.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we will make sure, and I will show you examples of this, is that the criteria that they're looking for is abundantly clear in that document. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because what we don't do is we don't use words like their words anymore. We use their words.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, and this is important, the people that mark this, that look at your supporting statement, are not civil servants.
Oh.
Yeah. The government, in their wisdom, yeah, have outsourced the recruitment for DWP people, or well, let's say they have outsourced the checking of your applications. Yeah. So in an office somewhere, they won't tell me where, but in an office somewhere, an external company have the job of reading all of your supporting statements and deciding whether they are good enough or not.
Okay.
Crazy.
It could be to our benefit. Yeah.
Okay.
Put yourself in a situation where you go into a little call center one day based in wherever it is, and someone says, "Hi, Bianca, I've got some good news for you today. Yeah. You've got 300 supporting statements to read through. Hey, what a fun day." Now, would you want to try and make that exercise as simple as possible?
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
So the people who apply for the jobs in the right way, with the right stories and the right structure, and make it easy for those people to see where the criteria are in that document, we're making their lives easier. Some would say we're manipulating the situation. Bad word, bad word. But we're going to make it as easy as possible for them to look at our supporting statement and for them to sit there. Do you think they're going to read it all?
No.
Probably going to scan it.
They're looking for the keywords.
They're looking for the keywords. And this is what hold on a second. This is what the whole recruitment market at the moment is built upon. Civil service or not, it is built upon people scanning your documents. And if you don't make the right impression inside the first 10 seconds, you're gone. That's the reality, guys. I know it's harsh. Yeah, I know it's harsh, but the reality is if you don't hook people straight away, you're finished. And it makes sense in a way, because we all, when we meet someone for the first time, yeah, we all make snap judgments, don't we? Someone's going to say, no, I don't, but you all do. You all do. Yeah. And if we meet someone for the first time in a job, at a party, in a restaurant, whatever it is, generally we make that judgment based on what they look like. Yeah. And that judgment can happen inside 10 seconds. Yeah. And some of you, I don't need to tell you, will have things about you where people, it's easier for people to judge you. Yeah. And we know that because it's the world we live in.
Human nature.
Right? Human nature to a degree. Yeah. And discrimination, you know, we are aware that discrimination exists. We are aware that it is rife in certain areas. But unfortunately, in my practical mind, discrimination will never stop as long as two people are different. Yeah. And who wants to live in a world where we're all the same? Yeah. So if we stand in front of people and they're going to judge us in 10 seconds, if we send our CV over to people, they're going to judge our CV in less than 10 seconds. What are they going to do when it comes to these supporting statements? It will be exactly the same. So what we do is we make it easy. We make it difficult for them to judge us, and we make it easy for them to find what they want. Make sense?
Yeah.
And I will give you, don't worry at the moment, I will give you examples of these statements that I've written that have passed. Yeah, because I decided on the first course, the best way for me to learn about this process was to apply for the job, which I did. So I've been through the process and I know what passes and what fails. So even though you may think I've got this beautifully crafted story, yeah, that reads perfectly and talks about all loads of different lovely things, if you don't include their criteria, it will fail.
It's hard work as well.
It is hard work. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's a hard work of the story to tell.
Yeah. 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 It's taught. Yeah. The story can get across many different things in terms of about you. Yeah.
Of course.
But is it difficult to put together?
No,
Kind of. It can be to get it right, but that's why you're here. Because once you start delving through, and I don't mean that from an ego point of view, yeah? Once you start delving through the process with the job that I've put on and the other information I'm going to share, I think a lot of you and a lot of people do, if you're just looking at it and saying, I'm going to do this on my own, we'll probably give up halfway through. Yeah?
Of course.
Because it's not straightforward. Yeah? So that's why you're here, to say, right, we break down every section of this process and make it as simple for you as possible. So, first stage, judgment test. Easy if you listen to me. Yeah. Second stage, we put together a 500-word statement telling a story about communicating and influencing. Yeah. And we will start thinking about that this afternoon. As I said before, normally I would tease it in terms of do this over the course of 4 or 5 days, but we haven't got that luxury. So this afternoon, you will be thinking about, right, what are these situations in the past that I potentially could use to come up with a story? That's all you need to do this afternoon, is think a little bit. Then what we're going to do tomorrow is that I'm going to talk you through the technique that we use to write these stories. And it's a technique called STAR. Yeah? Some of you may have heard of this. I know, Peter, you have, because we've discussed it. Yeah? So we use a system called STAR, and it is just a structural way of getting these stories right. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to talk you through STAR so that you are 100% comfortable on the structure of this story. That doesn't stop you thinking about some ideas this afternoon, because STAR comes after the idea, if that makes sense. Yeah? We come up with the idea, then we apply the structure. Yeah? So we will do that tomorrow, because otherwise I think there would just be too much information today. Harriet.
Thank you. Just a brief question. Does it matter whether or not, would you advise that we pick a recent example, or is it more important that it's a good example?
It's more important that it's a good example.
Okay.
Yeah, because we will not allow them to date it. Yeah. So we will tell them what we would do, and we will tell them where we are. But because they never see a copy of our CV, they cannot then say that was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So it's about the quality of the example rather than the date. Yeah.
And so on that, then would you say, though, we still say when I was working or during my tenure at whatever place, that you're still able to mention the names, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I was tempted to cover all of that off today, but I'm not going to. Yeah, because as much as the clock is ticking, we have time. Yeah. And if I try and whiz through this and go through all the STAR and all the examples now, for many of you who have been sat here since 9:30, you might be starting to feel a little bit, yeah? Because I have got one of those voices that can send people to sleep. Yeah?
No, it's fine to carry on. We've only been going for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
if we were working full time, we would have to be doing an 8.5 hour day.
We would. But I take your point on board, but in the
only done an hour and a half.
In the simplest forms of this not being a democracy, this being a dictatorship, we'll go with the way that I think is right. Yeah, because it's important. Yeah? Just get that illusion out of your head that it's some democracy. It doesn't exist. Yep. So what we will do is I'm going to talk you through the rest of the process, and then I'm going to say to you, right, okay, just think this afternoon about potential stories. And then what I'm going to do tomorrow morning is I'm going to talk you through the STAR process. I'm going to show you some examples of STAR statements that have been done. I'm going to talk you through all of their criteria so that the fun starts tomorrow afternoon with producing these stories. Yeah, that's the way I've done it. That's the way I've done it before, and it works okay. We will have enough time. Go on, Banny.
Yeah, I've got a question. Is the definition of this course, is it just to learn how to make an application or to get hands on a computer?
What do you mean? Sorry, just.
I mean, because when you go to their jobs, you have to work on a computer to do the formats and stuff. But here we're only doing a application.
Yeah, we're doing the application and giving you everything you need to be able to get the job. There's no IT aspects of this, but if you've got basic computer skills and basic Word skills and Microsoft skills, then that is all you need to know. Yeah, their system is complicated, but it's not difficult to use. It's a point and click type system.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Christine, have you got a question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. About the story, I'm a bit thick at the minute. You said think about the past where something went wrong. Yeah?
Yep.
And then write a story about it. So can it be anything? Anything that went wrong, like what in my life or in somebody else's life, or?
Yeah, what we're trying to do, ideally, what we're trying to do is link it to a job we've had in the past. Yeah. So when you were working in a certain place, doing a certain job, this is what happened, and what did you do using your communication and influencing skills to resolve that situation? Yeah. Now, some people I work with, especially younger people who may not have had a lot of experience in work, might then have to look at doing it something to do with your personal life. Always try and think of something work-related first, and then if we can't do that, then we'll drop down to something in your personal life. But I urge all of you, and this is why we're doing it step by step, even though there is a deadline, we're doing it step by step. This is a lot of information to take in. Yeah. And some of you will be sitting there right now thinking, oh, I've got a really good story. And some of you may be thinking, I haven't got a blooming clue what I'm going to say. Yeah. It is my job. If you get to the situation where you haven't got something to say or not sure what you're going to say, it is my job to help you to come up with something. It is equally my job that if Harriet, as an example, just because you're next to me on the screen, Harriet, if Harriet comes up with a story that I don't think is good enough, I'm going to tell her. Yeah, because I don't want you blindly applying for jobs. Yeah, with the information that you think is good enough, and if it's not the right story or doesn't touch the right points, then I will tell you, Christine, or whoever it is. Yeah. So don't worry too much about this now. Just let everything we've talked about this morning sink in. Yeah. It's a difficult process, but let me tell you about the plus side of this process. Yeah. Even if your dream job is not to become a work coach, I can't imagine many of you when you were at school and they asked you what you wanted to be when you grew up. I can't imagine that many of you said, I want to be a work coach in a job centre. Yeah. The plus side of this exercise is that I'm trying to get you into the civil service. And once you are in the civil service, unless you do something seriously wrong, yeah, you are in the civil service. It is the closest thing these days to a job for life. You understand what I mean about that, when there used to be a thing called job for life?
Yeah, totally.
If you're worried about discrimination in the workplace, if you're worried about being treated unfairly because of your gender, your ethnicity, your religious background, or whatever it may be, and you're thinking that you don't get opportunities because of that, yeah, then that is not the case in the civil service. It is the most open and understanding and compassionate and fairest organisation you can ever go and work for.
Yeah.
Will it be frustrating at times because they move slowly? Of course. It's linked to the government. Of course it's going to be. But if you want job security, if you want to be treated in the right way, if you want your well-being to be looked after, yeah, you are much better off working for a local authority, the civil service, than you are going working for Joe Blogs down the road. That's just my opinion.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Now, with these jobs, what they're initially offering with these jobs, I don't normally tell people this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. What they're offering, some of you may have seen it, is that they are offering a 12-month fixed-term contract. Please do not let that put you off. I think what we've learned over the last year is that a year is a long time. And many things that can happen and many things can change. And many of you 18 months ago or a year ago would not have guessed you would be in this situation you're in now. Yeah? Take the offer of a 12-month contract. Once you are in the civil service, you can apply for any job that comes up once you've passed your first month or so of probation. Once you
Most jobs do fixed term now anyway.
A lot of jobs do, yeah.
Yeah.
But with this job, once you are in, yeah, you are in. Yeah. Once you understand how to apply for a job as a civil servant and get this DWP job, when you then look at internal jobs that are advertised on their system, by following the same process, you will be successful again, if that makes sense. Yeah, because it is an art.
Yeah.
Once you understand, once you understand how to play the system of applying for jobs in the civil service, then you're in. There are at least 10 people out of the 35, 40 or so that I've had placed in DWP. There are at least 10 people already who have moved on to other jobs.
What are they doing now? Some examples.
One of them has moved into managing and looking at the Kickstart program. So Kickstart is aimed at 16 to 18-year-olds. One of them is an employment advisor now. So rather than dealing with claimants, they are dealing with companies who want to engage and employ people. Yeah. There is different jobs like that up the ladder. But once you're in the civil service, you can apply for all sorts of jobs. And if you have a look at the civil service, one of my candidates in the past who got through, who's a job coach now and now doing the Kickstart role, even applied for a job to go and work in Devon and Cornwall looking after badgers.
Wow. Hey.
Yes,
I love it down the West Country.
Yeah.
Love it.
And honestly, if you spend time on the civil service job website, yeah, there are thousands of jobs, and some of the jobs are weird and wonderful, and you could find your dream job on there.
Matt, can I just ask a question? Of
course,
please. Matt, you know when you said that they've gone into work as work coaches and they've moved on.
Yeah.
How fast does that happen when they first got in the front door? Has it been a year or 6 months?
No, some of them are less than 6 months.
Right. The other question is, you know, when someone's a bit older who's applying for the civil service, like this work coach job, if you're a bit older, what's your opinion about like the pension? Is it still a good pension if you're like in your 50s? Because you're obviously joining a lot later than someone who's been working there for 20 years. Is it still quite good, would you say?
It's still very good.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know all the details of it, but it's the best. It's probably, I mean, final salary pensions and all this sort of stuff that used to exist don't largely exist for new employees anyway. Yeah, but the benefits you'll get working for the government are better than most. Yeah, they don't discriminate on age. They don't discriminate on anything. And actually, as part of the application process, they actively recruit people who have disabilities.
Yeah.
Now you can imagine how many companies don't do that. For whatever reason.
A lot have to nowadays, don't they?
Well, whether they have to, whether they have to, or whether they don't, whether they do, Corinne. Unfortunately, there's a lot of operators out there who will make judgment calls on you and will discriminate you. They call it, it's a fantastic term. They call it unconscious bias. Yeah, some of you may have heard of this term before. They call it. Corinne. They call it unconscious bias. They call it unconscious bias because no one has the guts to say it's conscious bias. Yeah, and they call it unconscious bias. But honestly, if you're looking for,
Matt, I just want to say.
Hold on a second, Corinne. Hold on a second. Let me finish this bit. Yeah. So if you have any concerns about anything about you or what your conditions are or what your ethnicity, whatever it may be, the best place to apply for a job is in the civil service. That's my opinion. Yeah. So
It's age for me. It's ageism that I'm trying to not be discriminated with.
Yeah, they do like a blind application.
They do.
Thing. Yeah, I kind of saw that, and I was wondering what it was really. But,
that means that means that even by a name like your name, whether people are the nicest people possible, sometimes people do make judgments.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
It's been proved by many people that if you do an application with an English sounding name with the same CV, and then you put a foreign sounding name on the same CV, you get less interviews.
Yes, no, that's so true.
It's disgusting, but unfortunately, I'm a realist.
No,
it is what it is.
It's happening at the moment. Yeah.
So,
can I ask, please?
As well.
Robert?
Yeah. I want to ask, if I want to take this job, must your English be at high level?
Does your English need to be at a high level, an average level, I would say? Yeah. So what will happen, Roba, with you? I suspect, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, from you talking so far, I would suspect that the only person that is conscious about their English not being good enough is probably you. Yeah. That's just my opinion. And sometimes we then think that's the problem. And nothing from what you said so far would make me believe that you would not be suitable for this job because of your language. Yeah.
Oh, it's clear.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Christine, you got another question, or is your hand still up from before?
Yes. I have a question. When does the story need to be in by?
So the story.
And how do we do it? Do we write it to you by email?
No. So everything's going to happen on Google Classroom. Yeah, and you don't have to do any writing or anything today. Yeah, but you have to just make sure that you're on Google Classroom and you're going to see the stuff that I'm posting up. Yeah, the job application closes at 11:55 next Thursday, which I think is the 5th of August. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Even though that sounds like a short amount of time, it is enough time, trust me, even with 30 of us on the course. Yeah. I've had bigger groups in this and we've managed to do it.
So we do write it out, don't we? We write out the story.
Oh, you do write it out, and then you will submit the story to me and I will then go back and help you with it. So you are not on your own with this. It is a stage-by-stage process. Yeah.
Excuse me. How do we...
Corinne's had her hand up. Corinne, have you got a question?
Yeah, sorry, because I kept butting in before. Sorry, I get excited sometimes when I've got something to say. I didn't mean to interrupt. It was just on. Do you know what you were saying about the subconscious
unconscious bias?
That's it. Yeah. Just for anybody that's interested, funny enough, they're running a story on Coronation Street about that right now. I was watching it last night. On that happening.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Sorry, you're breaking up.
I can hear you. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to watch Coronation Street, but yeah.
Coronation Street is running a story on exactly that.
Okay. Good. Because
Matt,
it
how do we get
who's talking now? I can't see who's talking now.
Storna. Hi. How do we get hold of the forms to apply for the job?
Oh, the application process is all online these days, Lorna. Yeah. So the job, I've posted the job on Google Classroom already, but don't mess around with that yet. I will tell you when you're ready to apply. God, that sounded really masterful, didn't it? I will tell you. Of course, yeah. Yeah. You'll do as you're told.
You're the dictator to us. So
I am indeed. I need a uniform. I think I might go out and buy one this afternoon and just get back to breathe and stuff. Yeah. Don't worry about applying for the job. Yeah. We will get this sorted, and you will probably end up applying for the job Monday, Tuesday next week.
Right. Yeah? And how do I find Google Classroom?
Are you not on it? Have you not received an invite from me?
Oh,
it's on the link. It's on the same email that you got the link for this meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on that original email.
It's on there as well. There's a video on how to use it.
But you can just shout me if you need any assistance on it. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Where did I get to? Any more questions?
Me.
Put my hand up.
Jess, sorry, Jess.
It's okay. I was just going to ask. I jumped ahead of myself and have already made an account on the application thing and everything. Would it be okay, just because I'm in that kind of work mode now, if I had to go at writing it anyway today, and then still join the session tomorrow?
Oh yeah, 100%. You can do it. Look, there's 30 people, and everyone's going to work just at their own pace. Yeah, I will be getting all of you to set up an account on civil service jobs. Yeah, like you've done, Jess. Yeah. What I'm saying is, don't do anything in the application formally until it's all been checked. Yeah. So by all means, if some of you have heard a star before, if some of you have got this amazing story in your mind, get it down on paper this afternoon. Yeah. And then hopefully when I go through the stuff tomorrow, you'll either go back to that same story and adjust it based on the star technique. Yeah. Or we might say, wow, it's amazingly perfect. I've not seen one yet that's amazingly perfect on the first time, but we never know, Jess. We never know, do we? Yeah. So you're no problem about creating an account. Just don't apply for the job yet.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Because we need to go through the process.
Sorry. Regarding like the enrollment and stuff.
How do you pronounce your first name, first of all? Sorry.
It's okay. It's Vinus.
Vinus. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a new one. I've never seen that one before.
Oh, lovely.
Vinus.
I don't think you'll ever see it again.
It's a lovely name. I like that.
Vinus.
Thank
okay.
you.
Sorry, Vinus. Away you go.
No, that's okay. Regarding the enrollment and stuff, every time I clicked on the on the button, it just, I don't know, nothing happens. So yeah. I don't know what to do.
So what I would do with the enrollment form, the Excel document can sometimes be problematic depending on the system you're trying to use on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you cannot upload it on Google Classroom, if you just send me a message, text, WhatsApp, email, whatever, then I will email you the form, and it may be easier if I email it, and then you can complete it and email it back to me.
I think that would be best. Yes. I would
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Okay, I won't remember that because again I'm a man. But so if you just send me a little note, has everyone got my contact details?
Yeah.
Everyone's got my phone number and email address. You can text me, WhatsApp me, whatever you want to do. Calling me sometimes is difficult because I'm often on these Zoom calls. So just a text or a WhatsApp or an email will be fine. Fanny, you got a question, bud?
Brilliant. Thank you.
Me, yes. I've got a question. You send us a job application at our chat room, but is there other websites that do take this kind of people to work?
What do you
website? You send us through the gov.co.uk.
Yeah, civil service jobs.
Is there another websites that do recruit people?
For the civil service, all of the recruitment takes place on that one website.
Okay.
Yeah, they might post jobs on Indeed and other things, but they'll always be on that website as well. So it's a very useful website to use, and I'll show you how to use it properly probably Friday. Yeah,
no problem.
So you can create an account on there at the moment. I'll put the link up to create an account so that you're all ready. Just don't do anything else.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Right. So the first stage, we're going to focus on the first two stages: the judgment test and getting the 500-word statement ready to ideally apply Monday, Tuesday. Some of you may have it done quicker, but that's when we'll generally be saying, let's not leave it. If anyone thinks, oh, I'll call Matt at 10:30 next Thursday night, you'll get you won't get a response. Yeah, I was going to say what sort of response you get, but you won't get one. Yeah, so we don't have to leave it till the last minute. Yeah, but we've got time. Yeah, because all we're going to worry about at this stage for the next few days is the first stage. Obviously, then, if you get through the first two stages, they will invite you for an interview. I'm not even going to talk to you about that now.
Oh, God.
I'm not even going to talk about it now. Right? Because I think if I lay out the whole thing to you today, then it's just going to fry your brain. Let's take it step by step.
It's daunting. You need to do it step by step, don't we?
Step by step, and we move it forward. Yeah. So we make it nice and simple and nice and easy for people. So don't worry.
That's how I like to do it.
Don't worry about the whole interview stage yet. There's no point in worrying about something that ain't a problem yet.
Yeah.
It's only a problem. It's only a problem when you got through the first stage, and then we can
cross that bridge when we come to it.
Love it,
is
Corinne.
the saying.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So just, it's a couple other things I need to say. Yeah. So we focus on the first two stages, the judgment test and the competency-based assessment. I will tomorrow show you an example of the judgment test. I will provide you links where you can practice with it. And then I will give you examples and talk you through exactly how to put together your statement. That, as Jess said, if you want to start typing stuff up today, you can type stuff up today. Yeah. We just need to make sure the format and the criteria is perfect tomorrow. Yeah. And we will work on this. Now, the other message, if you are stuck, yeah. So if after tomorrow I say to you, right, I want you to write a story and you are stuck and you're not sure what to say or you're not sure how to structure it. If I don't hear from you, I assume you're okay. Yeah.
Okay.
If at any point in this process you've got a question or you're stuck on something, ask. I would much rather you ask me, even if I don't know the answer, yeah, or even if you think it's a silly question, than you sit there stewing on it for 2 days and then we end up with a mad rush at the end. Yeah. I can't always guarantee I'm going to reply straight away because there's 30 odd of you. Yeah. And I will try and manage my time effectively over the next few days to get the people in the right priorities to do that. Yeah. If, as a result of these discussions, you've decided that you don't want to apply to become a work coach, then you have two options. You can either A, leave the course in the nicest possible way, or B, you can stay with the course and recognize that actually what I'm going to be teaching you will apply to any job within the civil service, any job within local authorities, any job as well within the National Health Service. Yeah. The National Health Service employ over 1 million people in this country, either directly or indirectly. Yeah. So even if it thinks I don't want to be a work coach, the process that we're going to go through, you can apply to other jobs, and we'll find you other jobs on this course to apply to. Okay. If someone's sitting there thinking this is just not for me, whether it's something I've said, whether it's the group or whatever, just be honest and tell me up front. You're not going to get into any trouble. You're not going to get your money stopped. No one's going to cause any problems at all. But I'd rather people say to me early on, it's not for me, rather than invest a load of time because there's so many people. And then someone realize after 2 weeks, they don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. It's just being straight with each other is basically it. So the jobs as a work coach. Yeah. It's a bit weird at the moment. And I'll explain why it's a bit weird in terms of location. So they are looking for work coaches in St Albans, Luton, Hatfield, Watford, and Boreham Wood. But the physical locations right here, right now, are Luton and St Albans. Yeah. The reason behind that is because if any of you, for example, know Boreham Wood Job Centre, is anyone from Boreham Wood?
I lived there when I grew up, actually, but I live in Luton now.
Okay. Yeah. So the Boreham
It's a
Wood
horrible place.
The Boreham. Okay.
It is.
You should work for the tourism board, Corinne. Yeah. For example, Boreham Wood Job Centre, Hemel Hempstead Job Centre are quite small. Yeah. So what they've realised, because they have to have the correct amount of social distancing in place, is that they haven't got space to put all these new work coaches. So what they've been doing so far is get some work coaches to work from home or work remotely, and they give you all the tech for that. But because they've got a large office in St Albans, they have the space in St Albans, so they're putting people in there, even though you might be covering a different area.
Okay.
I think that's quite a bonus, because if I was working in Hatfield, for example, and I lived in Hatfield, I don't think I'd want to do that necessarily. Not because there's anything wrong with Hatfield, yeah?
I would. Walking.
My only caveat is, do I want to be seeing my customers at a weekend when I'm in the pub getting a bit, yeah? Yeah. But that's your own.
That's just down to the individual.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is about what suits you and where you want to go. So the jobs will be based initially at Luton and St Albans, but we'll be covering different areas.
Okay.
Okay. on the remote working question, because I know a couple of people have said about the remote working. At the moment, some work coaches are still working remotely. And it's impossible for me to tell you whether you will be or you won't be at this stage, because it will depend on the job and where you are.
Okay.
If you're working remotely, they give you all the IT equipment to be able to do that job. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you won't, in the majority of cases, the overwhelming majority of cases, you will not sit on a one-to-one video call with a customer. Yeah. You may well talk to them on a video call, or you may well talk to them on the system. So you're not going to have someone sitting in your front room every day. Yeah. So the process is complicated, but the process is worth it. If we go through this step by step, we will work together over the next few days to make sure that this story is good and that you understand everything you need to be saying. And that is pretty much it. It's just telling a story. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a handsome prince. Not really. Yeah. So it's just about telling a story. And what we're going to work on tomorrow is talking about those stories, how we structure them, how we put them together. And as I said before, I'm going to show you examples. Everyone happy? You look all happy. You look as if you just had the most amazing 3 hours of your life. 2 hours.
It's been fun.
Been fun,
Yeah,
Corinne.
with you it has been,
Never going to
Corinne.
be a dull moment, Corinne. Never going to be a dull moment with you around. That's
I
good.
hope that's a compliment.
You're already my
No, it
favourite.
is.
You're already my favourite
It is.
people. Don't worry about that, Corinne. Yeah, we like people that have got a little pizzazz about them, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
You guys all got a little bit about you as well, so it's fine.
Thanks.
Oh, bless you.
okay. We're
We
laughing.
should have
That's a good thing.
we should have minute at the end of each session. Everyone takes turns, so you have to do a magic trick or a little song or something just to make it fun.
Once again, Corinne, I've considered that, and no. Yeah. So we will continue tomorrow at 9:30. Yeah, I will be posting some bits and pieces on Google Classroom that will help you. Don't encourage her, Harriet.
Sorry, I missed. I've got a loud aeroplane going over, and I missed that. Sorry.
No, it's right. Harriet's trying to get you to sing something, but I've said no.
No, I live right by the airport, and I had a plane go overhead, and I missed that.
Okay.
It's okay.
You're probably going to be singing "Flying Without Wings," then, won't you?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, or "Come Fly with Me," something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Right, I'm going to quickly end this meeting before it gets out of hand. Yeah, and involves singing. So I'll probably not sing along.
You don't want to hear me sing, trust me.
No, we don't. Yeah. Oh, we got a little dog as well, Jane. Oh, cute. Hello.
Where's the dog? I haven't seen the dog.
Jane's little dog got a little dog. Oh, cute. He.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, look.
George. George.
I saw the dog.
Hello, George.
Yeah.
George.
Very cute. Okay, guys, look, it's thank you for attending this morning. Yeah. What I suggest is that if you are happy, strong word, if you are okay with what I've said so far and kind of know that what you're on the right lines, then you can leave this call. If any of you have got any individual questions about enrollment forms, about what's going to happen next, or want to speak to me one-to-one or with a small group, then you can stay on. I will post a couple of things for this afternoon, but pretty much you are free this afternoon to do whatever you see fit, as long as you do my enrollment forms. Some people have gone already. It's like in America when the school bell goes and they all get up and leave the room. Okay, so you can leave. You can leave if you want to. If you want to speak to me about anything else, then you can stay, and we'll have a little chatsies. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
I'm still here.
I just got questions about the enrollment form. As I mentioned before, I can't open it on my computer, on my laptop.
Okay, so Vanessa, you want me to email it to you?
I can't hear you. Sorry, someone's mic is really open and there's background noise.
Started playing the computer games already.
That's better.
What was the question? You want me to email it to you, Vanessa?
Yes, please. Yes,
so,
please. Yeah.
I'll do that. Who else said that? Jan?
Dan.
Okay, done.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Excellent.
I'll do so now.
Matt.
Mansur?
Yes, just set my thingy ID and my enrollment form yesterday. Did you receive it?
I received it. Yeah, I did, but I didn't reply. Sorry, because I all of a sudden got bombarded with loads of different things. So yeah, I did receive them. Yeah.
But you sent me saying you didn't receive on the Thursday.
Did I?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you sent it in and you're happy, then the office, what the office will do, they will check all the details and they'll come back to me if there's any gaps or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have the pleasure of reading through those myself, fortunately.
That's fine. Cheers.
All right, Mansur. See you later.
Yeah.
Danny, you got a question?
Yes. Is it possible you can help me send me the St. Albans application?
Yeah, the link for St. Albans is on Google Classroom.
Google Classroom, all right.
Yeah.
No, because the thing is, I found the Luton one, but not in St. Albans.
Yeah, it's all should be on the same one, buddy. Yeah.
Okay, man. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. See you
Okay.
then.
Who's next? Anyone? Peter?
Yeah, Matt. Just you know the application form you were just talking about.
Yes, mate.
What did you call it? What was the name of it? Sorry.
Enrollment form.
Yeah, is that on the Google Classroom?
It's on Google Classroom. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a question that I mean, these sound that are going to be really good. But if somebody's situation does change in the course of the course throughout, the next 15 days, whether they get a job or they go a different direction or something, and then they can't obviously sit in the mornings, right? Say there was like a week left or 3 days left, and how does it work? Would they just be able to go back and listen to the recordings in the evening or something?
Yeah, as long as you let me know, basically, as long as you're transparent and let me know what's going on, that's fine. Obviously, if someone gets a job, then that's what I'm here for, and that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So it's all pat on the backs all around. So yeah, as long as you let me know, Peter, what's going on, then
or if somebody has to go somewhere in the morning and they can't do it in the afternoon because they're being called out to go in the morning to see a prospect, or because I'm also looking at going through the direction as well as the work coach thing. I'm looking at my own business as well. So I'm talking to different prospects, and I might need to not be able to be here
as long as I know. So every morning on Google Classroom, a register gets put up and you click on it saying yes, I'm attending, or no, and I told you why. Yeah. Right. So if you need to miss sessions, then that's fine.
Okay, great.